Have them and put them in a program if they're not going to stick with it. It's the old adage where you have to make the first step in the long journey, and if you're not willing to do that, then there's nobody that can help you but yourself. So we have to basically stop and think. It's long past Anaheim. It's long past Orange County. It is so massive and so complex that it has to be a federal issue. We have to lobby the federal government. We have to say, hey, you have to step up, because this is far beyond the pay scale of anybody in here. This is one of those things, it much like a hurricane on the East Coast or in the Gulf of Mexico, this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy far beyond our scope. And like I say, I grew up in West Anaheim when it was a very simple, still very simple existence. And now it's what it is now. In our economic situation where they don't pay people enough, that's another story too entirely, but we have to reach out to a much higher authority. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Frank Talamantes. I live in Anaheim 92806, pretty much around the area of State College, La Palma, Lincoln, Sunkist. I feel what the gentleman up there saying about that 7-Eleven. I told my wife, you need to go to 7-Eleven, don't go to that 7-Eleven. That 7-Eleven, I mean, it's a problem. These homeless people that are there, they're bad people. I'm not trying to judge or what have you, but you go around them, you see them acting all weird, you don't know what they're on or what have you, but it's unsafe for families to be going to that 7-Eleven, that Sunkist school, all that State College, Underhill, Lincoln, it's out of control. There's like people loitering. It's like, I work for UPS and I service a lot of communities from 92806, 92803, 92807, Anaheim Hills, Orange. And when I'm in Orange, I see the police officers enforcing the loitering problem, pulling people over, checking their backpacks, asking them what's going on. Out here in 92806 and Anaheim, I don't see that happening. It's like, you said the law needs to be enforced. There's certain things that can and can't be done. Enforce what you can enforce. Yeah. I moved out here from LA because it's supposed to be a better county and what have you. I've been coming around for 14, 15 years. It's been worsening and worsening and worsening. It's getting worse. I've been where I live almost 2 years, and it's deteriorated from the time that I moved to now. It's going from bad to worse. Something needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am in the back. Yes.
Okay. I kind of feel that we're turning our cities over to criminal elements, whether they be homeless gangs or whatever. We're choosing to no longer enforce the laws that we're allowed to because we don't want to ruffle any feathers. I know that CityNet's doing a wonderful job attacking what's going on in the riverbed. Are you guys visiting our neighborhoods and the homeless people there? I know it's biggest bang for the buck to hit the riverbed, but some of them have moved out of the riverbed when Orange dumped all the rocks and into my neighborhood. And that's where they're at. And some of them seem harmless, some of them are downright scary. When I'm terrified to go into Walgreens to get a prescription because I think I might be stabbed to death, that's a problem in the city of Anaheim. I felt safer walking on 6th and Spring in front of the rescue mission and everything else in downtown LA than I do in some neighborhoods of my own city anymore. That's wrong.
Hi. My name is Elisa Goodwin. I'm a homeschool mom. I've lived in Anaheim for about 15 years. I think we all know what the problem is. I would like to propose some type of solution because we all know our neighborhoods are being overrun. That is the problem. And I understand you guys have a problem with only having a 200-bed shelter. A 100-bed shelter?
100 bed.
But even if you had a 1,000-bed shelter, there are homeless that do not want to go there. So I'm thinking, like she was saying, we need to identify them. And I don't think that that's against the law. To say to a homeless person, Who are you? What is your plan? Because you can't stay here. You cannot camp. It is against the law. You cannot hang out in the front of 7-Eleven 24/7 because it's against the law. And it is, we're all here being traumatized by these people. So they need to have a plan. Each person, and I understand the compassion, the ones that are waiting for the bed should be put on a list and be in line to go to the bed. But the ones that I know of that have been down there for 3 to 4 years and do not want to go need to be given a pink slip and say, you can't stay here. And they have to because I can't even let my kids ride their scooter around the neighborhood without me following them. That is tragic. I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't even run on the riverbed because I run into drunk people at 7 in the morning. That is tragic. So I think they need to be identified, and I think that this injunction, they should be able to understand if they choose not to go into a shelter, then they should not be covered by that injunction.
Hello everyone, my name is Jane Chaka, and I'm in total agreement with the two gentlemen that are speaking of the 7-Eleven, State College, and the Palmer. I live directly behind King Oil and 7-Eleven. You gentlemen don't even know what goes on there 24/7. I have even called the owner of 7-Eleven directly. And all I get is indifference from him. Call the cops. There was a woman in their little grass area that they have, removing her clothing, screaming, yelling, cussing. I mean, anything that came out of her head, I could hear her in my backyard. I called him because when he was trying to get his license for alcohol, they had to get an okay from the residents, the surrounding residents. I refused to sign it because I knew what was going to come out of it. That gentleman tried to wine me and dine me. He brought me certificates for hot dogs, sodas. He even came from the 7-Eleven and brought me pizza to try and get me to sign that license. I said, it appears to me you're trying to bribe me because I was the only one holding out. I go, I know what this is going to bring to the community, and it's not going to be anything good. We already starting to have a problem with homeless. It's only going to get worse. I have syringes, like that lady said. I have an 8-foot wall. I have syringes thrown over my wall. I have trash. I have trash on the outside of my wall. The city sends me a notice to clean up my shrubbery, and I go out there and I do it. But I see all the trash there, and it's like they're worried about my bougainvillea that's going over the fence, but they have all these homeless out there. They're up there in front of that 7-Eleven, laying in the grass, sleeping, doing their drugs. They're up against the apartments, and that's another whole issue for overflow parking that's going into my street. But again, getting back to the homeless, this is ridiculous. I walked. I have a gate that goes. I have an alley on 2 sides of my house, and anybody familiar with that area knows. Right behind King Coil and right behind the apartments, there's an alley. That's where I am. I hear everything. I see everything that goes on at that 7-Eleven. When I hear people out there 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, screaming, yelling, playing music, I don't know if it's coming from the apartments or from the 7-Eleven, call the cops. Let them determine where it's coming from. But all I know is the next morning, I'm sure to have syringes, trash over my 8-foot fence. That takes a little effort. I've even gone and spoken to the apartment manager, and he blames it on the homeless. Okay, so who's going to take who's going to be who's the guilty person? All they do is point the finger the other way. And I hold 7-Eleven, the owner, responsible for a lot of that. Because to me, if that's happening on his property, he needs to be doing something about it. I have gone into the 7-Eleven and said, I need this is my phone number, give your owner this number. I need to talk to him about what's going on. He needs to be accountable. it's on his property. Just like what happens on my property, I'm accountable for. Okay, and I believe if he's not accountable, he needs to be, and somebody needs to make that happen. He's so indifferent. I call him, he goes, he's more concerned with, well, who are you? I go, I am a resident, and I live directly behind your business. I have a right to know that you're gonna do something, or make some kind of a judgment call, or have your employees at least call the police. I tried walking out of my backyard to go to the CVS. I wasn't called. I thought, man, I wish I had a gun for my safety. I'm serious. Because you have to walk over bodies to try and get to just the signal, just to cross the street. And then let me tell you, I'll never do it again. I will never do it again. That area, it needs to be, something needs to be done about it. It's getting worse and it's getting worse. And I'm sorry, I feel for the homeless on the riverbed, but, excuse me, I'm selfish. I feel about my property. I'm gonna protect my property first and foremost. You know, you guys, I'm sorry, you know, I'm not indifferent to the politics, to all of this stuff, but you know what? I'm gonna protect my property because it doesn't seem like anybody else cares.
I've got an extra gun, I'll give it to you.
Excuse me, I was just gonna drop in here and say a couple things. I am a business, I'm a business owner. I own the insurance building. It's a couple doors down from the 7-Eleven, which is the hot spot. You know, I've been there for 20 years now. And, you know, I've seen this probably, at least within the last 7-8 years, really ramp up. And I kind of thought that maybe it had something to do with some of the hospitals that had closed down in the area, released a lot of patients. But, you know, the issue that I have as a business owner is amplified because I deal with it on a daily basis to come to work and have to clean up all the trash, feces, they urinate on our walls on a daily basis. Even when I walk outside, they're standing there smiling like, hi, you know, on your wall of a multi-million-dollar building. So, you know, it's very frustrating because by the time we do contact the police, because they're either fighting in the parking lot, they're shooting up in the parking lot near our staff members' cars, they're breaking into the cars. It literally takes, you know, hours for the police to show up. By that time, they're long gone, you know. And I've unfortunately kind of had to become my own enforcement, okay? And it is scary, okay? Because we do work sometimes late at night. My wife works late at night. She has to come out to her car, and there's people just camped out, you know, have their, you know, cardboard boxes all set up, their blankets all set up right in the parking lot as you're trying to, you know, get in your car and leave. And you don't know, because they're coming up to approach you, you don't know if they have a weapon on them or they're high on drugs, you know. So I was telling him earlier that, you know, I've spent thousands of dollars putting LED lights, to thinking maybe if it's brighter, you know, kind of like a person that doesn't want to be exposed in the light, maybe, you know, amplifying the lighting would help. And it really hasn't done anything, you know. And the issues of the trash, they'll grab our trash cans. We don't even put our trash cans out at night anymore because they'll take the trash can, bring it into our parking lot, dump it, go through the food, and leave all the trash. For me to come there the next morning as I'm trying to, you know, get ready for work, and now have to clean up all the trash and put it back together.
Can I ask you a question? So when do you call the police for those trespassing issues? And then when the police show up, what happens?
Well, it's a situation where they just tell you, okay, next time, if if an officer is in the area and we can get here while they're here, then you can press charges against them, and then we will arrest them. But it never can happen because they're gone by the time the police show up. And I'm not gonna lawfully detain a person,
Sure.
even though I
Right,
do
no,
have
I get that.
a permit and everything, but it's just an issue that, at what point do I hold them hostage?
No, I'm just trying to get to,
Yeah.
so it sounds like there's a very slow police response time generally on this issue that is causing.
There is. Looking at your statistics, you said there was 15,000 calls regarding this with 360 officers. That's 41 calls a day.
I know.
That those officers, obviously got to respond. And every time you do call, they say, well, we'll put you in line, but there's obviously more important crimes to put out, going on right at that moment. So I guess the question is for the residents here, what business owners are here, what can we do as citizens to enforce the law? They told me, the officer said, well, if you don't want their stuff on your property, push it out. Push it out to the street. Well, I don't want to move their carts and their personal property because that could aggravate the situation,
Right.
But where is the citizenship? And maybe the officer here can explain some of
I
that.
can answer your trespassing question. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
My kids have told me I talk way too loud anyway, so. To answer your question, for the trespassing, my homeless liaison officers can contact you, get a letter on file for your property where you don't have to be present for us to make a private citizen assessment. That letter will be good for 1 calendar year for your location. The reality of that situation is, yes, our officers have to prioritize calls. They go from priority 1 to priority 5. You can imagine 15,000 calls are just the calls that are homeless related that come in from members of our community. They are not homeless related calls that are self-generated by our officers, mainly from my homeless outreach team. So I have 2 homeless outreach officers that are assigned throughout the city, and then we have 20 ancillary officers that are trained as homeless liaison officers throughout the city. To answer your question, if you call and it's a busy night, as a watch commander, the watch commander is going to decide, do we have enough officers to respond to the emergency calls for services that our officers are tasked with handling? On certain nights, I will be the first one to admit, that call could wait 3 to 5 hours, to be honest. Which is why my homeless liaison officers come in the next day and tally up calls that may have been homeless related and try and conduct follow-up. So what I suggest for you as a business owner or anyone else that is a business owner or a concerned citizen, I will stay here as late as I have to tonight to answer questions that aren't for the group. Please sign up for our trespass program. We'll get you a letter. It is a form letter that just has to be signed to you and faxed into our officers. That will then, when my homeless liaison officers are out on patrol, that will then give them the ability to make a trespassing arrest when you're not there.
That's good.
If you are not there when you call, we don't have a letter on file, it is factually correct that if we don't have a person there to sign the arrest and the offense isn't occurring in our presence, we cannot make an arrest. And I want to circle back to a question here on how come when we call, our calls aren't captured in your crime statistics. Well, if I call saying, it looks like somebody's breaking into my neighbor's house, and then the police go there and the neighbor's not home and we can't tell was anything stolen, or they go and contact the neighbor and the neighbor decides, yeah, something was taken, but I don't want to be bothered with filing a crime report, that is going to be captured as a call for service for us, but not captured as a crime statistic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we may have 500,000 calls for service throughout the year. We are not going to have 500,000 crimes that match each call for service. Does that make sense? I just want to clarify that. I will stay as long as I have to tonight to clarify what we can and can't do. A lot of what I have to say isn't for everybody, and I'll answer any questions, but I don't want to take.
No, thank you. I know Brad Feldhouse was sitting in. You want to say a few words?
So Brad Fieldhouse, CityNet, I just want to sort of link that conversation with our efforts. So we do have staff that are out here all the time working, and similarly, we work with law enforcement quite a bit. So part of the enforcement outreach, we link. So similarly, when those calls go out, so this again is the encouragement to if you see something and encourage. So the way we prioritize and respond is we sort of go where the attention is being focused, and we, in partnership with Anaheim PD, we do come and we very aggressively, very intentionally garner the resources. So similarly, when our teams go out, where we're going is actually with law enforcement, going to the spots where, so if there's criminal activity, we stay in the vehicles. But once the law enforcement assess that it's safe, we go where those calls are going as well. So to encourage you to make those calls, we're responding where those calls are going as well. We do know that 7-Eleven, we've been there hundreds of times. And so it is both. So I want to link the outreach efforts with the law enforcement efforts so that where those calls come, when we go out on a regular multiple times a week, often with law enforcement, we're going to those same locations. So there is a connection, both from an enforcement and an outreach, to phone calls that come in or emails that come in through Anaheim Anywhere and those sorts of things.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Georgia Dinkers, and I think it's probably fairly obvious to everyone that we've all been affected by homelessness, or we wouldn't be here at all, and that we're probably just a fraction of the city. I know that you're maybe looking for solutions, and I don't know that I have the greatest suggestions, but I think that, number one, as citizens, we're trying to do what we can by calling and reporting, by cleaning up where we can, that kind of a thing. Our hands are tied just like yours might be on some level as well. However, at the city level, I think perhaps, from what I'm gathering here, our police officers are short-staffed, as well as being limited on what they can do as well, or being limited on what they are told to do. I know that there was the comment made earlier that 87% of the police officers were against or did not want to work for the current police chief. He may be a good man, he may have a good heart, but being a good man does not necessarily make him a good police chief. And if that is part of the problem, that needs to be looked into, because 87% is a substantial percentage of the people that work for him. That's a large percentage. It's not like 3% said this and maybe have, oh, well, they're disgruntled, they don't like him, they don't click personality-wise. That's substantial and should be looked at, whether or not he's a good man. We didn't hire him, I don't think he was hired because he's a good guy. He's supposed to be hired because he's a great police chief, or can be. And the other thing is, it's on a larger scale where it may take longer. Well, that would address maybe more our city issues, our parking lots, our parks, our homes, porches, all that's actually in the city. Maybe that would help there more. And then on the river trail bed where they're spilling out from, I think it's time that if we do carry a large amount of weight as Anaheim, that we start pushing the surrounding cities that share that burden to join forces so we can do something. If we alone are not big enough to fix it, we need to get help, and we need to contact those cities. They're having probably just the same frustrations, and maybe their mayors are thinking the same thing. I'm not sure what to do at this point because the law is kind of capping me off here. Well, maybe together you can make a difference. It starts with one, and if we're the biggest one right now with the biggest problem, maybe we should be the one.
Hi, Wes Jones, 417 North Anaheim, I think. Or Pine Street, excuse me. And I'm the first one to agree that every homeless person should be a good citizen. But as far as solutions to homelessness, the county right now, as far as I know, is sitting on $700 million in mental health funds they haven't spent, which could go to solving this problem. They had this nice slideshow up here and they showed all the housing they have provided. What they didn't show is that there's no more coming. There's no more being built because all that housing was not built with city funds. That was built with state funds and federal funds. And all that money is gone. And it's left to the cities and the counties now to pick up the burden, and nobody has. And as far as the causes of homelessness, statistically, 40% of the homeless now are purely economic reasons. And if you don't take care of that soon, that 40% that goes into homelessness, they drift into the other segments of homelessness. If they're not rapidly rehoused, they become mentally ill, they become the drug addicts. And we need some real muscle on this, and we're not getting it. And the city of Anaheim does not have this tax structure to take care of this. There are 5 men right now that stand between 5 people, excuse me, between solving homelessness and you guys getting it solved. And that's the Orange County Board of Supervisors, because they have the money. They'll tell you in their budget they don't, but they make up the budget. So we need to put some money on this. Otherwise, the homeless problem's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, we're gonna, 3 more questions. I'm gonna finish, Kevin, with you. Ma'am in the red. Back here. I'll finish with.
Hey, while she's getting the microphone, can I say something? I want to know why Tustin and Irvine ain't having the same problem that we're having. And they're just towns right over. Recently, public people were trying to invade over there in their territory, and they were chased out. Sorry, I mean to be right now, but why aren't they having the same problem as us?
I can answer that.
Hi, my name is Erica and I live on Rio Vista in Viking. I am a CPS social worker and I am aware that our law enforcement, we work clearly with law enforcement, they've mentioned to us, Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, Sheriff in Irvine, that they are told to bring the homeless to the riverbed. So I haven't seen it. You did mention earlier that you weren't aware. What are you going to do about it? Everybody's talking about the problem. What needs to happen? What do we need to do to get this rolling? Because we're going to have another meeting. The same thing's going to happen, hearing our voice. But what needs to happen? Next time we come to a meeting, we want solutions. Because we need to be at home feeding our children right now. But we're not. So what's the problem? Because it's almost going to be 7:30. Right? What needs to happen?
Mayor, could maybe we do a focus group? Get focus together.
We already have a focus group. We already have a focus group.
We have a problem.
No. All of us care because it's all affecting us. We don't think these guys are moving fast enough with all the BS that's going in the offices.
They're not.
What I'm trying to say is, you know what? If we're not working together as a team, we're all going to continue to lose. At the end of the day, we all have our homes. At the end of the day, he may not have a job, but we have to come together because this is all of our issue.
Right.
The gypsies are the new homeless that are so blatant and so disrespectful. They're not your regular homeless guys guy that sits there for a beer and you can give him a hot dog. These guys are telling you, I don't want your damn dollar, I wanted a 20. I mean, but at what point, how do we help each other? Because we're spinning our wheels, we're hamster on a wheel right now.
Well, obviously, we need more enforcement. And we need quicker enforcement, we need more enforcement. And I opened up talking about there's a criminal element. We need to focus on that. And our city will do a renewed effort. The county is going to pick it up. We have to do that.
Mr. Mayor, when's the last time this city ever have?
Just a second.
They can't do their own property.
All right. Ma'am.
I've lived here for a long time, and I think my biggest concern, not my biggest, there's many concerns, we all have them. I think it's embarrassment. I'm embarrassed to live in this city. I have people that go to the Angel Stadium, they are embarrassed. I mean, they go, my sister won't even come here anymore. It's disgusting. They come into Anaheim, we've got this beautiful Arctic, we put all this money into the pond. And they come in here and all they see is Tent City. And I think we should be so embarrassed. And I think that's the part that bothers me. You should be so embarrassed. You should be proud of your city. And it almost looks like they don't care. I go down to Santa Ana, I used to go down to the city to pay my taxes and stuff. You walk through there, you can't even walk through there. It's been that way for years and years. I don't want that here. This needs to be done now. We need to clean it up before we get a reputation. Everybody's dumped here. And like this lady said, why don't we say to those people, where are you from? Why can't they wear badges? Why can't they
Yellow stars! Let's do yellow stars!
Where are you from? You know, I mean, they can rape people, we don't know who these people are. We can't trace them. You know, they're invisible. So they can break into your house. We have no way of proving. They have no identification. They could be from New York. This is perfect because they don't have snow. They don't have to worry about the elements. Hawaii's got a huge problem like this. And San Diego is now dealing with hepatitis A. 15 cases. So what they're doing in San Diego is they're suggesting they take the old library and make it into a homeless shelter. And maybe we could come up with something with some of these empty buildings that are not in anybody's way and say, hey, you know, if you give us a building, we won't charge you taxes. Give them some incentive. Instead of building shelters, why don't we use these empty buildings? But my main concern is how bad it looks for the others, anybody from outside this area. It's embarrassing.
Let me say, Santa Ana took the bus station depot and turned it into a shelter. If you have ideas, I'm open to them. Tell me specifically.
Okay.
I'm open to them. If there's specific buildings that can be used, again, we're open to ideas.
Jack's Market, right up the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
The route.
One more question. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Ma'am.
I got something to say.